Hello. Welcome to the Unfuck My Life Experiment podcast, where we explore the question, what would happen if you took a radical personal responsibility for your life for 365 days? I'm Beki Dunmeyer, and this is Cheryl Ellis of the Faceless Warrior Project. What's up, Cheryl?
What's up? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, because every Tuesday is happy, because
it's Taco Tuesday!
Tuesday!
And everybody loves tacos.
If you don't love tacos, get out. Bye. This is not
Bye, you don't belong here.
We're polarizing our audience right now. Any non-taco lovers, GTFO.
Bye-bye. There's the door. Who doesn't love tacos? Tacos are the best food on earth.
People who are not right in the head don't like tacos. That's why. Bye. You don't belong here. So now that we have all of the taco haters gone, and it's just us taco lovers remaining,
we can get on with the taco monologues.
I kind of feel a little bit dirty saying taco lovers, and I'm 100% okay with that.
I'm 100% a taco lover, so, you know.
Also,
hey.
That needs to go on a shirt. I'm a taco lover. But today, speaking of tacos, which this has really nothing to do with tacos, but let's talk about creating our own opportunities today. Because you did something pretty amazing recently.
I did.
Tell me all about it.
I reached out to a partner who I felt prior to reaching out was way out of my league, because I'm developing some content that is just a perfect match for what this person does. And I said to this person, look, was planning on waiting until I built a bigger audience to approach you with this, but this is what I do, this is why I do it, and this is what I have coming up, and these are all the reasons that it would be great for us to work together right now. Do you have a program? And she wrote back and said, absolutely, yes, I have a program. I love what you do. I love what you're doing. Let's work together. Let's make this happen. It was sort of scary, but very exciting at the same time.
But what I love about that is this is somebody that already has like an established business. They're pretty well known. They have, a really successful YouTube channel. They partner with other people. They're kind of in their industry, a pretty big influencer. And
top three influencers in that industry, absolutely, hands down.
Absolutely. So it takes, some balls to reach out and say, hey, want to work?
Hey, I'm a little guy and my website is ugly, but I'm doing this for a reason and from my heart.
Right. But the thing is, though, if that person had been like, hey, you know what, I appreciate what you're doing, but we're not a great match, would you have been in any worse position than if you hadn't asked?
Absolutely not. And actually what I sort of anticipated happening, didn't put this out in the universe, but just so that I could psychologically be okay if the rejection did come, was to say, listen, if I get rejected, at least I know what the standards are that I have to meet, and I can respond and say, I will see you when I am there. I'll be back.
You have something by which to measure your readiness.
Right.
You know what their standards are, so you know if you can meet them or not, which is better off than not even asking at all and hoping that you get it right.
That's right.
So I'm super proud of you for that, by the way.
I'm super excited. I'm super excited. It's
an exciting partnership, and when we're ready, we will let you all know out here in Unfuck My Life land who the partner is and all of that, but we want to make sure that everything is put together and
there's some T's that have to be crossed and I's that have to be dotted. So,
but the whole point that we want to talk about today is kind of, I know it's cliche or like trite or whatever to say, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Truth.
So Yeah, so I was listening to a podcast today where the guy was talking about how he met his wife, who he thinks was like the hottest woman ever. He's like, this is my dream girl, and she's so far out of my league, I don't have any chance, right? But he went ahead and he approached her because he created a rule for himself. He's like, in any situation, you always talk to the hottest girl in the room when he was single. So I was like, oh, I mean, that's one way to do it. You know, he's not trying to go for who he thinks he can get because they're in his league. He's going for, this is my dream girl. This could be my dream girl. I'm going to at least go talk to her. I'm at least going to start the conversation with her. If she turns me down, okay. But I'm going to at least try, right? So he tells this story about how he went over to her. She was a bartender, a VIP bartender. And he like walked over and he's like, he wrote down his number on a napkin, and I was like, hey, call me if you want to take me out sometime. Which, first of all, like, flipping the script like that, that's kind of amusing.
That's cute.
Right? So he was talking about how, to his absolute shock and surprise, she wound up calling him that same day. Like, he gave it to her in the afternoon, and she wound up calling him that evening.
She thought he was funny.
Yeah, to see if they wanted to like go hang out and have drinks or whatever, right? So then he's telling the story about how on the night before their wedding, she gave him a box, and in this box was the napkin with his number on it, but it was ripped up. It was ripped in half. So it was almost like she wasn't going to call him, but then she did, and now they're getting married, and now they have like several kids, and they love their life together, and they're like, it's perfect, right?
Wait. So what I want to know is, why wasn't she going to call you? Why wasn't she going to call him?
I don't know. That part of the story was left out. But I thought it was interesting of like, he could have not even approached her, right? Or he could have just assumed that she was going to say no. And so he could have approached her with like oh, well, like if you think that I'm worth your time, maybe you could, let me give you a call sometime or something. But he totally flipped it. He had the confidence, and he was just like, call me if you want to take me out sometime. I was like, that is a brilliant like life philosophy.
One of the things that I appreciated when you were explaining to me what you had heard, one of the things I appreciated was the perspective that there is no disappointment, because if this doesn't turn out to be somebody you're dating, there are other connections that you can make with this person.
Oh, absolutely. Like, the worst that can happen is nothing changes, right? They say no, right. Your life goes on as normal. But what happens if maybe they don't want to date you, but they are like your new best friend, or maybe they have somebody in their life that is perfect for a project that you're working on. Like,
right.
It doesn't have to be what the original intent of going and starting that conversation. That doesn't have to be the outcome for it to be successful. Right? So it's a different measure of success is, if I meet this person who I think is awesome, even if it's just, whether it's like, I think they're it doesn't have to be the hottest person in the room, but like the person that I would most like to get to know, the person who I think is
right. What you amazing. Find, this is one of the things that when you first started talking about this, that resonated with me, is you don't necessarily have the same attraction that everybody else is going to have. Who you find to be the most attractive person in the room is not going to be somebody else's cup of tea. So just because it's not, I know for a lot of people, there's that competition hesitation. Well, if I think she's the hottest person in the room, everybody else must too. So let me just step back and watch what happens. Well, that's not necessarily the truth.
Right.
And 80% of the people in the room might be looking at her and seeing nothing but imperfections.
Well, not only that, but sometimes if you start up that conversation, another spin on this is if you start up the conversation with somebody who you only see the physical side of, right?
Right.
And you take the time to talk to them, sometimes that turns out to not be a thing, and then that opens up the opportunity for you to go to talk to somebody else who's actually a better match for you, but may not be like the physical of the, because attraction is about so much more than just physical, but it's about so much more than just personality.
Right.
It's this unique blend that works for you that you go after, right?
Right.
So I would change that philosophy to pick out the most intriguing person in the room to you and start up a conversation with them. In any situation, find the person who most intrigues you, that you most like to have a conversation with, start up a conversation with them. Like, it doesn't hurt anything. And here's a perfect example of this. So this gets into kind of what we're going to talk about today, of how to do that, right? Because we don't want to just tell you what to do, but an easy way of how to do that. So most of you don't know, but I kind of have been fangirling over a certain somebody that I saw on a reality show recently. So
hey, let's give the shout out.
I binge watched, I don't even remember what the reality show is called right now. It's some barbecue competition, the Great American Smokeout or something, right?
That sounds hippie-ish.
Yeah, I've been different kind of smokeout, like barbecue smoke. But I binge watched all 8 episodes back to back because, first of all, barbecue, so yes to food porn, but also there was one contestant on there that really stood out to me.
The American BBQ Showdown?
That one, the American BBQ Showdown. So there was one contestant that stood out to me. The first thing that I noticed is like, dude, he's fine. Like, he's tall and big and delicious looking, but I'm looking at these ribs right now. Like, but on the very first challenge, so his name is Rashid Phillips. On the very first,
if they can cook,
right?
That's definitely a major check in the pro column. Yes.
Right. So
yes.
When they were going over his bio, he was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to learn about cooking. So he did the Julia Child's cookbook. He just worked his way through it. And then he's like, and then I took the techniques that I learned and started to get into barbecue. So I'm new at barbecue, but I kind of taught myself how to cook, right? I was like, okay, so he likes to learn and he likes to try new things. And then for the first thing, they were supposed to prepare like 2 meats and 2 sides. This man made double what he was required to do because he could. Like, no sweat, first challenge, just, I'm gonna do double, I'm gonna do extra.
And knock this one out the box.
And he won it.
The rest of y'all go get tacos.
I was like, all right, okay, I can watch this. But throughout the show, what really appealed to me was like his work ethic and his character when interacting with the other contestants, because he was always willing to help out for other people. There was one guy that had kind of a breakdown, and he was the dude that went in and was like, listen, just breathe, take a moment, you can get through this. So he wasn't too focused on, like, he wanted to win, but he wasn't so focused on his own success that he couldn't take time to help other people.
He never lost sight of his humanity.
Right. And there were other competitions where you could tell some people were getting on his last nerve, but he was very calm and very, like, even keel when dealing with them. Like, he managed his own emotions around this very stressful situation. And I was like, listen, we're going to be best friends. You don't know it yet. But this is a thing that is going to happen. So I have decided to make Rashid Phillips one of my friends. I don't know this man. I've never met this man. I just saw him on the show. But I have subsequently looked at what he's doing, and he's an entrepreneur who is really doing amazing things in Atlanta, right? So one thing that I have put together is I have these index cards. I have 30 index cards.
I love this. I'm doing this today.
Okay, so I have 30 index cards, and on each of these index cards is the name of somebody that I want to get to know, that I don't yet know, and kind of what their business is and where they are. So I have kind of a reference to let me know, because some of these people, I found them and then I don't necessarily remember them by name, but I remember their company or why I like them. So, but what I do is every day, whoever is on the top of the pile, I reach out to them in some kind of way. So whether it's going on their social and commenting, like leaving genuine, you know, insightful kind of comments, valuable comments, or recommending their services to somebody, or leaving them a review on something that I've tried from theirs. You know, if they taught a lot of these people teach online. And so if I have taken what they've taught and I've done something with it and I've gotten results, I leave that, you know, on their social to try to build them up and make that connection. So every day, you know, I move whoever's on the top of the pile to the bottom, and then I connect with the next person in the line, right? So as I go through this, at some point, they're either going to be my best friend or they're going to tell me to fuck off. So,
or they just won't, you won't connect and you go your separate ways, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. But I have a backup list. I'm always writing down people's names on cards. And when I either connect with somebody successfully and we decide that we're going to be best friends for life, because I already decided that's what we're going to do, then then I can take them out of the pile and add them. Now they're in my network.
They're
and
in
I
your
can
Rolodex.
add somebody new. Yeah.
They're the Rolodex, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of going back to that old Rolodex idea, but like what I wanted to emphasize here is I am not shooting low with the people that I have on here. Like maybe these people aren't known to everybody, but one of these people is Greta Van Riel. I don't know if you guys know Greta Van Riel. If you're in e-com, you should know Greta Van Riel. She's one of the youngest, like, multi-millionaire e-com. She has 4 or 5 like super successful e-com brands.
And her name is real. You can't not be mad at that.
Right. And she's brilliant. She's great at what she does. I would love to get to know her. If for nothing else, then I think she's an interesting person.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to know if there's any way that I can, you know, assist her in doing what she's doing, because I like what she's doing. I have other people on here that are like kind of bigger names, and some that like maybe nobody would know but me, or people, they're like in a very niche. Like one person I have on here that people might laugh at, but I want to get to know him, is Darren Brown, who's the like famous mentalist from the UK. He has huge things on Netflix. He does shows everywhere. He has his own TV program. But this guy is so like well versed on subliminal psychology, like subconscious psychology, and how the brain works and how language influences people and how I would love to get to know him and just have even if all I have is one dinner with him, that's a success for me. Like, I just want to know these people.
One of the things that's interesting too is when you start reaching higher and you start increasing the quality of people that you choose to shoot for, what's going to naturally happen is you're going to raise the level of the people that you surround yourself with.
100%.
Because here's the thing, maybe you're not going to resonate with Greta Van Riel.
Right.
But what if her personal assistant becomes your new best friend? You've already elevated the people that you're hanging around with, because her personal assistant has a whole collection of friends also she can introduce you to that are going to continue to build you higher.
Well, and I have to say real quick, it's not only about what I can get out of it. You know, I'm not looking to meet these people for what I can get out of that. I'm looking to be part of their circle because I admire the fuck out of them.
That's why I love that your approach is to actually add quality content to whatever it is that they're doing, because there is that adage that, you know, everyone has something that they can teach you. And like you just finished saying, that's really a kind of selfish mindset in the way to approach that interaction. But instead, you're flipping that right on its head. And you're like, I always have something of value that I can give to you. So before you go into that situation, I guess it's important to sit there for a minute, really think for a second, what do I have that I can offer them?
Well, and it also changes the motivation. So when you're trying to make friends, you shouldn't, some people maybe do, but you shouldn't look at it like, oh, what can this friend give me? Right? It's like,
oh, good God, are you talking about my ex?
no, I'm talking about people in general. It's
in general, yes. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Proceed.
The reason you want to be friends with somebody is there's something you like about them. Like
right.
they're funny, or they're super talented, or they're completely totally dorky and they don't give a fuck about anything. And that's totally
Stop talking about me.
Right? No, I won't. I'm gonna talk about you. I'm gonna give you side eye while I do it.
It's the truth though. And it goes back to that most attractive person in the room thing. The things that you are looking to meet in your life, the spaces where you're going to connect with people, are not going to be the same spaces for everybody.
Right.
So when you are in that space, why not take advantage of the opportunity?
Exactly. Why not? Like, there's no benefit in not doing it other than a perceived sense of safety from rejection. Right. But the rejection, I was kind of thinking about this too. I was like, rejection only really hurts when you're relying on somebody else to validate your worth. If you're secure in who you are and what you bring to the table, if somebody says no thank you,
you're like, all right,
okay, bye.
I'm going to get a taco.
Thank you, next. It's taco time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but in intentionally surrounding yourself or intentionally interacting with people who have value systems that you admire, you're going to also get better, like you're going to get more clarification on what you do and you don't want in your life. Suddenly, if all of your friends are people of high integrity, then people that don't have integrity don't have any room in your space. That, like, they're not even going to be attracted to anything that you have to offer, and that's brilliant, right? So that's it's right. Shifting, and that's not something that what I want to emphasize about this method is I'm not going to like go out today and make all 30 of these people my best friends. But by consistently interacting with them and showing my support for them and showing, like, genuinely complimenting the work that they're doing,
you're flexing the muscles.
I'm building the opportunity so that if I go and I meet them, I can say, hey, this is my social, and they're like, oh yeah, you're the one that's always like doing this for me, or you're the one that and I'd be like, right. Yeah, and now we can be best friends and we can eat tacos.
I heard tacos. That's all I heard was tacos.
Yeah, so but it's creating.
We have a piece coming up. It's creating the conversation, but also breaking that pattern of being comfortable mm-hmm. with your fear. It's stepping outside of that fear, embracing the possibility for rejection, knowing that it's going to be okay no matter how it happens and how it turns out. I mean, this lends itself to another piece I know that we have coming up. You have to exercise the muscles.
Yeah.
You have to exercise the muscles, otherwise they begin to atrophy. And atrophy is just as painful as gain.
Mm-hmm. But every habit that you have right now started out uncomfortable or started out unfamiliar at some point. Like, you have to create habits for them to be habits. Sometimes it's passively by not giving a fuck. Now you have this habit of procrastination or whatever. But if you want to really unfuck your life, you have to consciously make those decisions to make better habits. And that's going outside of your comfort zone. And one thing that people are somewhat uncomfortable with is approaching strangers, especially strangers who they admire. But
Guilty.
can I just tell you that you can be the most interesting person in the world to them if you simply approach them and genuinely want to hear about their lives. Give them a chance to share and talk about themselves. They will love you forever, because it's not about you saying, hey, look at all of these reasons why you should be my friend. It's, I'm taking a genuine interest in you because I want to get to know you better. And that is what makes you interesting to other people. It's a very counterintuitive approach, but that is what makes you
That's
more
fall in love
interesting to
juice,
people.
though. That's fall
Yeah.
in love juice.
I ain't mad about it. They can fall in love with me.
All day long.
But it creates a bonding, because they're like, oh, this person is not just looking to use me. This person cares about what I think. I feel seen and acknowledged and appreciated and valued by this person. Therefore, I like them. Right? So it goes back to some of the fundamental laws of influence and persuasion and human behavior. Like, let people talk about, let them be a safe space where people can share their dreams or their goals, or just discuss issues, or just be a good listener. And that's going to get you, but put yourself in the opportunity to be able to listen.
Back in the day when I used to work in journalism, that was one of the skills that we were taught, is don't give answers, ask all the questions, right? And the thing that naturally is going to happen is the more that you ask questions, the more you're going to learn from other people's experiences. And in so doing, you diversify your own book of knowledge, which makes you more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the person that's sitting back asking the questions and just listening, rather than the person that always has to prove your worth to everyone, guess what? You get to be the most interesting man in the world.
Yep.
And then you have Dos Equis with your tacos.
And then all it takes is being curious.
Absolutely.
You just it's not a special skill. It's not anything that, you know, is out of reach for anybody. It's just be curious about, and that's different than being nosy.
I was just about to make that point, yes.
So maybe there's a little bit of skill in there, but it's, if you work more with open-ended questions where they have the freedom to answer it in a way that feels comfortable to them, then you'll get a lot better response. And we can go into that in another episode of how to ask good open-ended questions.
Oh, girl. That's a skill I want to develop. I need to learn to ask better questions. This is a good one.
It's a good one.
All
Because
right.
there is a level of intimacy with questions. If you ask a question that's too intimate too soon in the relationship, they'll shut down and they won't trust you because they think that you're trying to get to something, right? So you have to, like,
perhaps, yeah.
You have to do it's kind of like a foreplay in the beginning of, you've got to warm up with safer questions. It's not as complicated as it sounds. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. But
it's actually pretty intuitive.
It's pretty, yeah. It's pretty intuitive.
Most of the time, if you're actually listening, the person is going to tell you when they've reached that point of comfort where they're ready for the deeper questions. So it really is about opening your ears instead of your mouth.
Yep. So we're definitely going to do an entire episode on the art of listening. And I'm writing it down.
You're note-taking. You're cute.
I am. That way I know that we need to do this.
And we'll link to the 100% a taco lover t-shirts
when we get that all put together. So y'all know this is an experiment in progress. It's not perfect, but we're making headway, right?
That's right.
So if you liked what you heard and you like tacos, then go ahead, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, recommend us to your friend. If you don't like tacos and you don't like what you heard, I can't help you. Sorry.
There's the door.
Bye.
There's the door.
All we need now is your one catchphrase.
My one catchphrase?
Yeah. What are we inserting that's 8 seconds long?
This is DIY self-up. Go and fuck yourself.
This is the part where you say insert didgeridoo.
Go forth and unfuck yourself. Insert didgeridoo.